Distinguished guests, esteemed participants, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the TRT World Forum for providing this opportunity to address such a distinguished audience. The TRT World Forum has become one of the leading global platforms where issues shaping the international agenda can be discussed openly and constructively. More importantly, this forum provides us a venue of unbiased discussion. This is one of the things that we need very much these days. It is therefore, once again, to be here is a distinct honor and privilege for me. By taking this opportunity, I would like to briefly share with you our analysis of the current geopolitical context and our vision for the way forward. Last year, at this very forum, some people might remember, I talked about our predictions on the intensification of strategic and geopolitical competition, increasing tensions, polarization, and failures of the international system. Unfortunately, over the last year, what we witnessed, what we've seen, this analysis is only getting worse. The defining feature of today's international system, if we are to put in a single word, certainly is uncertainty. Existing balances are shifting, and the parameters that once defined international politics have grown unpredictable. Global governance structures are losing functionality. Institutions created to maintain global stability and fairness are struggling to keep up with the speed and complexity of crises. The deepening state of paralysis of global order continues to erode trust in international institutions. This pushes nations towards unilateralism, creating a crisis of legitimacy in the global order. Dear friends, behind the ongoing transformation lies a fundamental shift away from the unipolar world order. And what lies ahead will depend on whether we can build on multilateralism or fall back into destructive rivalries of unilateralism. Our vision is clear. We stand firmly on the side of cooperation, dialogue, and inclusive multilateralism. In such turbulent times, our foremost duty is to uphold cooperation and solidarity for the common security and prosperity of future generations. Global challenges require collective action, shared responsibility, and strategic foresight. We need to, first and foremost, revitalize a strong and reformed international system based on global partnership and synergy. This is the main remedy for effective global governance. To achieve that, we must restructure the international system along two main requisites: reforming global institutions with a comprehensive and inclusive approach, and secondly, strengthening cooperation through regional ownership. The first requisite incorporates primarily the United Nations, which increasingly struggles to deliver on its founding promises. While preserving the unique position of the United Nations, we need to enhance its efficiency. The challenge we face today is not the absence of rules, but their unequal application. When principles are applied selectively, as you know, justice weakens and legitimacy erodes. This is why reform is not a matter of preference, it's a moral and practical necessity. Turkey, therefore, advocates a more democratic and representative UN Security Council that empowers the many rather than privileging the few. A fairer regional representation would restore both legitimacy and vitality of the system. A fairer regional representation, therefore, it is essential for our world. We must recognize that new centers of power and influence are emerging and old hierarchies are being redefined. This transition, whether we define it as bipolar, multipolar, non-polar, multiplex, or polycentric, it doesn't matter, reflects an international order still searching for its balance. This should be understood not as a source of deepening confrontation, but as a basis for renewing multilateral cooperation and strengthening international institutions. Turkey is working hard to manifest this through diversified diplomacy and global engagement. Dear guests, friends, and esteemed participants, the second requisite for the way forward toward a stronger and functioning international order is regional ownership. Where multilateralism provides a framework, regionalism ensures the foundation. Crises do not arise in a vacuum. They usually emerge from regional contexts and must be resolved through regional responsibility and solutions. When regional actors foster genuine and real initiative, they generate trust, legitimacy, and continuity. Across our neighborhood, Turkey has turned this principle into practice. In the Balkans, for instance, we support reconciliation and dialogue among neighbors through trilateral and multilateral mechanisms as well as mediation efforts. In the South Caucasus, we promote normalization, connectivity, and regional cooperation through inclusive platforms. In the Middle East, we engage directly with partners to address security and humanitarian challenges. In the context of Organization of Turkic States, we, as you've been witnessing, deepen institutional cooperation among nations bound by shared history and geography. In Africa, we advance partnership through development and capacity building based on mutual respect and shared benefit. Each of these examples reflects the same conviction. Stability cannot be imposed, it must be cultivated. This is how we translate principles into outcomes, by turning dialogue into trust and trust into stability. And once nations assume the responsibility for peace and prosperity in their own region, the global order grown even stronger through regenerated legitimacy. Ladies and gentlemen, when these mechanisms falter, when justice becomes selective, and when accountability fades, the cost is never abstract. It is measured in human suffering. And this is the most visible in the Middle East. The erosion of legitimacy and paralysis of global governance have found their most tragic expression in Gaza. Guided by the moral and political vision articulated by President Erdogan, Turkey has, from the very outset, undertaken intensive diplomatic efforts to stop the genocide and uphold the justice. We took the initiative to establish the OIC Arab League Contact Group. The contact group's efforts have significantly contributed to raising international awareness on the situation in Gaza. It has also played a crucial role in reversing long-standing one-sided positions, paving the way for advancing the recognition of State of Palestine. This stands as a concrete example of how regional powers can develop solutions to crises in their own region and mobilize the international system toward action. The meeting convened upon the initiative of President Erdogan in New York on September 23rd between President Trump and the leaders of 8 Muslim majority countries is also a case in point. This dialogue in New York laid the groundwork for the consensus reached in Sharm el-Sheikh, marking an important step in the collective pursuit of peace. Although the ceasefire agreement remains fragile due to Israel's continuing aggression, it nevertheless offers a crucial opportunity to end the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. we must ensure its full implementation. At the same time, the ceasefire is certainly not an end itself. A just and lasting peace in the region can only be achieved through the realization of two-state solution. Therefore, in order to advance the momentum generated in Sharm el-Sheikh, we must make sure that Gaza is governed by Palestinians, the implementation of the process is carried out in a decisive manner with the active participation of all the relevant parties as well as signatories. The legitimacy and sustainability of the process is ensured through international institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, another example of Turkey's critical contributions to regional and global peace and stability is our efforts to resolve the Russian-Ukraine war. As a country maintaining constructive dialogue with both sides, Turkey successfully facilitated their return to the negotiating table through the Istanbul process. 3 rounds of talks produced tangible results, including prisoner exchanges and the re-establishment of direct dialogue between the parties. We firmly believe that diplomacy remains the sole viable avenue toward a peaceful resolution in Ukraine. In this spirit, we reaffirm our readiness to host a 4th round of talks and a possible leaders' summit in Istanbul. Esteemed participants, against this backdrop, our actions grounded in multilateralism and regional ownership will continue to shape the parameters of our shared future. These are not merely guiding principles, but practical instruments to ensure stability, justice, and prosperity in an evolving international landscape. In the face of global challenges, strengthening regional and international cooperation and forging genuine partnership remain the only viable path. In this regard, Turkey will continue to uphold dialogue and diplomacy as the cornerstone of its foreign policy. We will continue to work with all partners who share our vision of a fairer, more balanced, and more representative international order. With determination and responsibility, we will remain at the forefront of efforts to promote peace, stability, and cooperation in our region and beyond. Thank you for your attention.